If I could become president of the United States of America, the first thing I would work on is poverty. How would I do that? I would first look at the unemployment amongst the American people. And of course, I know that unemployment, as many people know, became extremely high when this government worked with what we call undocumented immigrants and allowed them to come in and replace the American people on jobs. I would first, for an instance, go to Mexico and talk to the government there, the leader there, and make a deal with him that we as the American people would loan them so many billions of dollars to open up jobs and factories and homes and build homes there, and at a very good paying rate. Many of our undocumented people here, especially our Mexican brothers and sisters, would love to go back home. They would get better pay and they would be with their families. A lot of them would voluntarily go back. This means that jobs would come open immediately in America. I would then work on the pay scale, beginning with no less than $10 an hour, wishing we could go all the way up to begin with $15 an hour. But within a 5 to 8 year period, have it up there to at least a minimum of $15 an hour without raising up the cost of living. And if these private sectors don't want to go for it, we as the government would begin to build our own factories, making our own clothes, our own textile factories, our own grocery markets, and etc. And we would hire the people at very good wages, and our profit would go back into building more facilities and doing better. Once this unemployment is at one of its greatest decreased levels, we would then work on welfare reform. On this welfare reform, many people would come off welfare, but their wages would be up to where they are living a suitable living life, able to take care of their children, etc., and so on. We would look at our disabilities. We would look at these programs, not just welfare, but even government programs of where especially politicians are involved in getting so much money for this and that. We would look at cutting a lot of these programs. Those who need to stay on welfare will stay on welfare and disability. Then we would go at drug reform. Within this drug reform, we would go at reforming NSA, our National Security Agency. We would get their help. We would approve them to be able to watch anybody the hell they want to who they feel is a threat to America. Whatever they watch, the public will watch it also. We will have it connected to, you can sit in your home and see whatever national security agencies watching. Why? Because then we won't have this little deal about a violation of people's rights. Because one thing about national security, where would we be like if it wasn't for them? And yet we don't want anybody taking advantage of watching others, going into their bedroom, people changing clothes, etc., and so on. So if the public can see it, then we have better control of it. We'll be able to see whatever it is that we need to see to make sure America is watching and doing what needs to be done that's right. That means if they zero in on other countries, fine and good. Those other countries are watching us. And with that, we'll go at drug reform. Drug reform, we'll pull in the National Guard and we'll border up the United States of America. When I say boarded up, we'll begin to search every plane, every boat, every aircraft that comes in. National security will be zeroed in on our officials, government officials, and all type people who are involved in the drug smuggling of this country. We would get rid of it. Amen. We would look at our housing and schools. We would redo the schooling districts. Whatever communities you live in, that's the school you'll go to. Children won't have to be bused, get up at 4 and 5 in the morning and bus 4 and 5 miles from their homes, while others live right near their school and go comfortable. We have some of the best teachers in all communities in America. It's going to be shown. We would be able to get better counseling for our children, especially those who have lost family members, little brothers and sisters through drive-bys, through violence. We have better drug rehabs for parents who have suffered so bad in these poor communities, and their children who have watched and seen things going on in their homes. A lot of our young men who came up angry at the world because of no fathers and watching and seeing their mothers on crack and everything, who have lost loved ones, we'll have rehabs for them. A lot of young men that are in prison that should not be in prison, we will have rehab for them. And once they've reached a certain level in their rehab, we'll have jobs for them, good paying jobs. Our housing could very well work with Habitat for Humanity, our former President Jimmy Carter, where homes will be built where people can own homes and pay for them without interest. We would look very closely into the police killing. We would have NSA involved in it, to where they can look at some of these officers that are doing this killing in their lifestyle. There's been so much talk about officers being involved in Ku Klux Klan and so on. This is true, you'll be fired. But we'll also have counseling for our police officers, because of many of them has been involved into our communities, especially the poor communities, in a war zone. You see, we can easily talk about the police. Don't get me wrong. Don't you ever get me wrong. I believe in my heart some of them have done things out of evilness. But I also know in my heart that there are officers who have fallen by the wayside, who's full of anger because they go every day and they see drive-bys, little children been shot. Young men dying every day. Officers are on the scene looking at relatives crying, friends crying. You don't think this can affect them? We would bring a better relationship back with the American people and the police and whoever else put their lives on the line to protect us. We would look into the Affordable Health Care Act. We would look at the good points and bad points. Whatever need to be reformed, that's what we'll do. You have to remember, people, in order to stop the war in America, you have to stop what those who have sit in high places started. And once we've gotten to where we have want to get to, once we have gotten to where we all can say we have overcame, then we all will be able to say from our heart, then we can say all lives matter. If I could become president, well, we know how that goes. So I just want to say that those of you who are looking at voting for the two candidates, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, if these ideas are not implicated to the fullest, you would never have a better America. So, we need a president that can implicate everything that you've heard me talk about.